1001 Nights, Love Stories, The Alchemist of Shadows and Starlight. Friends, before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell so you never miss a new audiobook, and give this video a thumbs up. Thank you in advance. The moon over Kamar was a sharp, silver scimitar cutting through the velvet darkness, and beneath it, I was breaking the most sacred law of the Sultanate. My fingers, stained with indigo and the faint, shimmering dust of crushed dream pearls, traced the forbidden symbols onto the blank parchment. The air in my hidden workshop, tucked high in a forgotten minaret, hummed with the promise of creation. I was Noor, the royal cartographer's daughter, a woman who should have been content with mapping the known world. But my soul craved to chart the unknown territories of the heart, to capture the very essence of emotion and make it tangible. This was the art of illumination, a magic forbidden to all but the royal bloodline, and my possession of it was a secret that smelled of ink, ozone, and treason. The scent of night-blooming jasmine wove through the open archway, a sweet counterpoint to the electric tang of my work. Below, the palace of Al-Asmar was a symphony of muted gold and whispered intrigues, but up here, there was only the whisper of my brush and the frantic beat of my own heart. Each stroke was a theft, a piece of magic stolen from a universe that would surely demand repayment. I was painting a memory, the way the light had fallen on my mother's face, a memory so precious and fading I feared I would forget its texture. As the final symbol glowed to life, the parchment shimmered. The image did not merely appear, it breathed. My mother's smile, warm and real, filled the small room, and for a breathtaking moment, the scent of her rosewater perfume drowned out the jasmine. Then, as always, the illusion faded, leaving behind only the faint scent of lightning and a profound, aching loneliness. That loneliness shattered a moment later. The sound of booted feet on the spiral staircase, firm, measured, and utterly out of place, sent a jolt of pure terror through me. There was no time to hide the evidence. The door to my sanctuary swung open, and the world stopped. Framed in the archway was Prince Zayan, the Sultan's feared and revered heir, the shadow of Kamar. He was known for his ruthless efficiency, his cold intellect, and the unnerving stillness that clung to him like a second skin. His dark, embroidered kameez seemed to drink the lamplight, and his eyes, the color of a desert sky moments before a storm, swept the room, missing nothing. They lingered on the brushes, the pots of peculiar pigments, and finally, on my face, pale and guilty in the flickering light. He did not speak. He stepped inside, his presence sucking the air from the room. He picked up the parchment I had just used, the surface still faintly warm and humming with residual power. His long, elegant fingers, more suited to holding a falcon or a sword, traced the now invisible path of my brush. A single, dark brow arched. The royal cartographer's daughter, his voice was low, a vibration that settled deep in my bones. They say you have a gift for capturing the truth of a landscape. They do not say you capture the truth of the soul. My heart was a trapped bird beating against my ribs. This was death, exposure, my father's ruin. I could not form a single word. He moved closer until I could smell the clean scent of sandalwood and sun-baked stone that clung to him. My father's chief vizier is a hollow man. A month ago, he returned from the northern provinces a changed soul, his passion for justice extinguished. He now speaks only in whispers of a gray peace dot. Zayan's stormy eyes pin me in place. But in his private chambers, he keeps a small, glowing tile. It shows him a memory of his late wife, so vivid it makes him weep. A memory that was stolen from him and now returned in this artful forgery. He knew it all. The magic is a poison, Nor. It does not just show memories, it consumes them, leaving behind a husk content with shadows. Someone is using this art to cripple my father's court. And you, he finally looked directly at me, and the intensity in his gaze was not accusation, but a desperate, burning need. You are the only person in this kingdom who understands its threads. You will help me find this alchemist of shadows. You will help me unravel this conspiracy before the gray peace silences Kamar forever. It was not a request. It was a command that felt like a destiny I had been painting towards my entire life. The fear did not vanish, but it was joined by a terrifying, thrilling sense of purpose. The Prince of Shadows needed my light. And in the charged silence between us, a new kind of magic began to spark, one far more dangerous and alluring than any I had ever conjured from ink and dream dust. He was the storm, and I was the forbidden light that dared to illuminate it. Our alliance was written in the silent language of stolen glances and shared secrets, a map leading us into the heart of a conspiracy that threatened to erase the very soul of the kingdom. And as I looked into the eyes of the prince who held my life in his hands, I understood the most perilous magic of all was not in the pigments I used, but in the treacherous, awakening landscape of my own heart. The world after his discovery became a delicate, dangerous dance. By day, I was still Nor, the cartographer's dutiful daughter, tracing the safe, predictable lines of rivers and mountain ranges under my father's proud gaze. But by night, I became the prince's secret weapon, a ghost in the lamplit corridors of power. Our alliance was a tightly wound scroll of unspoken truths and charged proximity. He was the storm and the silence. I was the light and the secret. And in the spaces between, a new, terrifying magic was brewing. Zayan's study was a reflection of the man himself, severe, ordered, and deceptively simple. The air smelled of old leather, dried ink, and the faint, clean scent of the desert wind that swept in from the balcony. There were no silken pillows or gilded ornaments, only stark white walls, low wooden tables, and a single, magnificent tapestry depicting the celestial horses of the ancient myths. It was here we began our investigation, surrounded by scrolls detailing court appointments, trade routes, and the movements of the now suspect viziers. The Grey Peace is not an ideology, Zayan stated, his finger tapping a map of the northern provinces. It is a symptom, a spiritual malaise. They speak of contentment, but their eyes are empty. It began here, in the city of Zara. He unrolled another scroll, this one of my father's making, a detailed map of Zara's bustling markets and labyrinthine streets. This is where Vizier Khalid was stationed. And this, he produced a small, silk-wrapped object from a locked drawer, is what he brought back. He unfolded the silk. Nestled within was a ceramic tile, no larger than my palm. Its surface was a swirl of muted colors, and at its center, a soft, pulsating light. "Show me," Zayan commanded it, his voice low. The tile shimmered. A scene bloomed above it, a beautiful woman with kind eyes, laughing in a sun-drenched garden, her hand outstretched. The love and longing in the image were so potent, so perfectly captured, that it stole my breath. It was my work, but refined, perfected. The memory felt more real than reality itself. And beneath its beauty, I could feel it, a faint, cold suction, a hunger. It was offering a perfect past while quietly devouring the will to build a future. "It's a cage," I whispered, my skin crawling, gilded with a memory. The scent of ozone from the tile was familiar, but underneath it was something else, something cloying and sweet, like rotting roses. Zayan's gaze was heavy on me. "Can you trace it?" "The essence of its making." It was the question I had been dreading. To trace the magic, I would have to immerse my own senses in it, to risk the very emptiness it created. I nodded, my throat tight. I prepared a clean parchment and a special ink I had crafted from powdered silver and my own tears, a medium sensitive to emotional resonance. As Zayan watched, his presence a solid, silent anchor in the room, I closed my eyes and let my fingers hover over the tile. A vision, sharp and painful, lanced through my mind. Not a memory, but the act of its theft. I felt a cold, clinical presence sifting through Vizier Khalid's happiest moments, selecting this one with surgical precision. I saw a hand, elegant and cruel, with a ring of black obsidian shaped like a serpent eating its own tail. And I felt the location, not a place on my father's maps, but a feeling of immense weight and ancient sorrow. The deep, echoing silence of the royal crypts. I gasped, pulling my hand back as if burned. The phantom scent of dust and myrrh filled my nostrils. The crypts I managed, my voice raw. The alchemist works from the crypts, and he wears a ring, an Ouroboros of black obsidian. Zayan's stillness became something else entirely, the poised silence of a predator catching the scent of its prey. The crypts are guarded by the Silent Brothers. No one enters without the Sultan's seal. His eyes met mine, and in their stormy depths, I saw the plan forming. We need a reason to be there. The reason presented itself days later with the announcement of the Ceremony of Remembrance, an annual ritual where the royal family paid respects to their ancestors in the deepest level of the crypts. The entire court would be present, a swirling sea of white robes and solemn faces. It was the perfect cover. The night of the ceremony, the air was thick with the smoke of sacred resins, frankincense, and myrrh. 1,000 candles flickered, their light dancing over the sarcophagi of long-dead sultans. The chant of the Silent Brothers was a low, monotonous drone that vibrated in the marrow of my bones. I stood with the other courtiers, my own white robes feeling like a shroud. My heart hammered against my ribs, a frantic counter-rhythm to the solemn chants. Across the cavernous space, Zayan stood beside his father, his profile stern and impassive. But once, as the chant hit a particular low note, his eyes found mine. A single, swift glance. A question. An affirmation. As the ceremony reached its peak, I slipped away, using the shifting crowd as my veil. I moved deeper into the crypts, into the older, neglected sections where the air was cold and the candles were fewer. The scent of dust grew stronger, and beneath it, that same cloying sweetness I had sensed from the tile. My pulse thundered in my ears. I followed the scent, my hand brushing against the cold, carved stone of a forgotten queen's tomb. And then I saw it. A sliver of golden light from a hidden doorway, cleverly concealed behind a pivoting stone slab. The smell of ozone and rotting roses was unmistakable. This was the place. I had found the alchemist's lair. I reached out, my fingers trembling, to push the stone. A hand closed over my wrist, firm and warm. I stifled a scream, spinning around. It was Zayan. His face was a mask of carved stone, but his eyes blazed with a ferocious intensity. He put a finger to his lips, then gently moved me aside, placing his own body between me and the hidden door. The protectiveness of the gesture sent a shock of warmth through the cold fear. He was the shield, and I was the key. Together, we pushed the stone, and it swung open without a sound, revealing the alchemist's den and the shocking truth that waited within. The door swung inward on a scene of blasphemous creation. The air, thick with the cloying perfume of distilled memories and acid, hummed with a power that made the fine hairs on my arms stand on end. This was no dark cellar, but a laboratory of the soul, and the man who stood at its heart was the last person I would ever have suspected. The hidden chamber was a perversion of my own sanctuary. Where my minaret was filled with the soft chaos of creation, this place was a study in sterile, malevolent order. Shelves lined with crystalline vials held swirling mists of captured emotion, joy like liquid gold, sorrow a deep indigo, passion a volatile crimson. The air was a nauseating cocktail of ozone, acid, and that underlying, rotting sweetness that now made my stomach clench. And at a central alabaster table, his back to us, stood the man responsible. He turned, and the world tilted on its axis. It was Master Rafik, the royal archivist, my father's oldest friend. The man who had gifted me my first set of proper brushes, who had smiled fondly at my pretty little drawings. His kind eyes were now as cold and sharp as shards of glass, and on his finger gleamed the obsidian Ouroboros ring. Prince Zayan, Rafik's voice was smooth as aged wine, devoid of surprise. And little Noor, the cartographer's daughter with the gifted hands. His gaze swept over me, a collector assessing a new specimen. I wondered when your unique sensitivity would lead you here. Zayan moved in front of me, a wall of solid, furious muscle. You treasonous snake. You are poisoning the soul of this kingdom. Poison? Rafik chuckled, a dry, rustling sound. I am offering solace. A perfect, painless past. The gray piece is not an emptiness, my prince. It is a release from the torment of desire, the agony of ambition. I am giving them peace. You are making them puppets. Zayan's voice was dangerously quiet. Dulling their will until my father's court is a council of ghosts, easily manipulated. Rafik's smile was a thin, cruel line. The Sultan is a relic, clinging to outdated passions. A new age requires a new kind of ruler. A quieter kind. His eyes flicked to me. She understands, don't you, child? The allure of a perfect memory. The safety of living in a beautiful, unchanging past. Before I could answer, Zayan lunged. But Rafik was prepared. He didn't move to fight. He simply raised his hand, the obsidian ring glowing with a sickly violet light. He didn't attack Zayan's body, he attacked his spirit. A shimmering thread of darkness shot from the ring, striking Zayan in the chest. He didn't cry out, but he froze, his face contorting in a silent scream of agony. I could see it. Rafik was not just showing him a memory, he was trying to steal one, to hollow him out from the inside. He was targeting Zayan's most powerful, foundational memory, the moment his mother, the sorceress queen, had placed her hands on his small shoulders and passed her legacy of storm magic into his blood. No, the word was torn from me. I didn't think. I acted on an instinct deeper than fear, older than magic. I threw myself between them, my own hands outstretched. I had no weapon, no power to fight. All I had was the truth of my own heart, a truth I had only just begun to acknowledge. I did not try to block the dark thread. I embraced it. I let it flow into me, and I filled it with my own memory. Not a perfect, polished illusion, but a raw, real, and terrifyingly vulnerable one. The moment in his study, the storm in his eyes softening as he looked at me, not as a tool, but as a person. The feeling of his hand on my wrist in the crypts, a touch of protection that felt like a brand. The terrifying, beautiful hope that had begun to bloom in the darkness. My memory was not a gilded cage. It was a key. The violet light of Rafiq's magic flickered, faltered. It couldn't process the raw, unrefined emotion. It was designed to steal perfect, static moments, not this chaotic, living, and growing thing. The thread shattered into 1,000 motes of light. Rafiq staggered back, shock etching his face. What is this? This sentiment. In that moment of his distraction, Zayan broke free. The storm in his eyes was now a real, physical force in the room. The air crackled, and the vials on the shelves rattled. He didn't speak a word. He simply looked at Rafiq, and a bolt of pure, concussive force, silent and invisible, hurled the archivist back against the stone wall. He slid to the floor, unconscious. The fight was over, but the true battle had just begun. Zayan turned to me. His chest was heaving, not from exertion, but from the emotional violation he had just endured. He looked at me as if seeing me for the first time, not the illuminator, not the asset, but the woman who had just willingly taken a soul theft meant for him. He crossed the space between us in 2 strides. His hands came up to frame my face, his touch shockingly gentle after the violence. His thumb stroked my cheeks, his stormy eyes searching mine, reading the truth I had just poured into the darkness. Nor, he breathed, my name a prayer on his lips. And then he kissed me. It was not a gentle kiss. It was a claiming, a confession, a release. It was the answer to every charged glance, every unspoken word. It tasted of lightning and relief, of the desert wind and the salt of unshed tears. His magic, no longer a storm to be feared, curled around us both, a tangible warmth, a shield of starlight. In that kiss, I felt not the theft of a memory, but the fierce, desperate promise of a future. We broke apart, breathless. The world had remade itself. The conspiracy was unraveled, the traitor unmasked. But a greater, more perilous truth now stood between us. The prince and the commoner. The storm and the starlight. Our love was the key that had unlocked the darkness, and now it was the most dangerous secret of all. He kissed me as the world fractured, and in the breaking, I found myself whole. His lips were a silent vow against mine, a promise written not in ink, but in the very lightning of his soul. We had defeated the shadow in the crypt, only to unleash the terrifying, brilliant light of a love that could shake the foundations of a kingdom. The world after the crypts was painted in the colors of a secret dawn. We had delivered an unconscious Master Rafiq to the Sultan's guards with a story of discovering his treachery during the ceremony. A tale of royal vigilance that conveniently omitted stolen memories and a kiss that had rewritten the constellations of my soul. The court buzzed with the scandal, but Zayan and I now moved in a bubble of shared, silent understanding. The conspiracy was severed, but the aftermath was a delicate tapestry we had to weave with careful hands. In the week that followed, the gray peace began to recede like a fever breaking. Vizier Khalid was found weeping in his garden, not at the perfect memory of his wife, but at the stark, beautiful pain of her real, unidealized absence. Color and sound and passion slowly returned to the court, a symphony of life restored. The Sultan, shaken to his core, looked upon his son with a new, grudging respect and a flicker of the fear that Rafiq had so cleverly exploited. Zayan and I could not be seen together, not in the way we now craved. Our encounters returned to the realm of shadows, but the texture of those shadows had transformed. They were no longer hiding investigation, but a devotion so profound it felt like a new form of magic. We met in the Library of Whispers at the deepest hour of the night, the scent of ancient paper and our mingled breath the only witnesses. There were no more scrolls of conspiracy between us. Instead, his hands would find mine in the dimness, his fingers lacing through mine, a silent testament to the bridge we had crossed. He wanted to take the memory of my mother's gift, Zayan confessed one night, his forehead resting against mine. We stood on his balcony, the sprawling city of Kamar a carpet of scattered diamonds below. He knew it was the source of my strength, my connection to the true heart of this land. But you gave him a memory he could not comprehend. A memory that was not a static thing, but a seed. He pulled back, his stormy eyes gleaming in the starlight. You did not just save me, Noor. You showed me a power he could never steal. His words were a balm and a catalyst. In the solitude of my minaret, my illumination changed. I was no longer painting to capture the past, to preserve what was lost. I was painting to envision the future. My brushes danced over parchment, no longer with the fear of a thief, but with the hope of a creator. I painted scenes not from memory, but from desire, a man with storm-gray eyes and a smile that could quiet the wind, standing not in a palace of cold stone, but in a sun-drenched courtyard filled with the vibrant, messy, glorious art of living. The pigments responded to this new intent, glowing with a warmer, steadier light. My magic was no longer rooted in longing, but in love. The final test came with the Festival of Twin Moons, the most joyous night of the year. The grand courtyard was a riot of color and music, a celebration of life's return. The Sultan, in a show of strength and unity, commanded a grand display. Zayan was to demonstrate his control over the elements, a reminder of the royal magic that protected Kamar. And I, by a sudden, shocking decree from the prince himself, was to create an illumination for the entire court to see, a sanctioned, public display of the art that had been used for treason. The air was electric with anticipation. Zayan stood at the center, and as the drums reached a fever pitch, he raised his hands. He did not call forth terrifying lightning or shattering winds. He summoned a gentle, shimmering rain that tasted of sweet water and smelled of the first blooms after a long drought. It was a magic of nurture, not destruction. The crowd gasped in delight. Then all eyes turned to me. A vast, blank parchment was stretched on a frame before me. My heart hammered, not with fear, but with a fierce, defiant joy. I dipped my brush not into pots of pigment, but into the very air around me, pulling from the laughter of the crowd, the love in Zayan's gaze, the vibrant hope of the city. I did not paint a single, perfect memory. I painted a living tapestry of Kamar itself, its bustling markets, its quiet gardens, its scholars and its dancers, its past and its future, all woven together with threads of golden light. And at the center, I painted two figures, their outlines subtle, their hands entwined, not as prince and commoner, but as partners, their combined magic a brilliant, protective sun over the kingdom. A stunned silence fell as the illumination blazed to life, more magnificent and alive than anything I had ever created. It did not offer an escape from reality. It celebrated reality in all its imperfect, beautiful glory. The silence broke into the most thunderous applause I had ever heard. The Sultan looked from my painting to his son, and for the first time, I saw not fear or calculation in his eyes, but a dawning, weary acceptance. He saw the future, and he could not deny its light. Later, as the festival waned, Zayan found me by the silent, reflecting pool in the courtyard everyone had forgotten. The sounds of celebration were a distant melody. He did not speak. He simply took my hand and pressed into my palm a cool, smooth object. It was a seal, carved from a single piece of lapis lazuli. Not the Sultan's seal, but his own. The mark of the prince. "My cartographer," he said, his voice rough with emotion. "Will you map this new world with me?" Tears streamed down my face, catching the light of the twin moons. There were no more shadows between us, no more secrets. Our love had been the key that unlocked a conspiracy, and now it was the foundation upon which a new kingdom would be built. I curled my fingers around the seal, feeling its cool, sure weight. "Always," I whispered. And as the desert wind, warm and gentle, wrapped around us like a blessing, I knew this was not an ending. It was the first line on a blank parchment, the first note of a new song. Our story was just beginning. The heart is the only map that matters, and its true north is always love. He was the storm I had learned to dance in, and I was the starlight that guided him home. And somewhere, in the silence between heartbeats, you can still hear the whisper of our beginning.